Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, I'm Forum, and I welcome you to our 15th external webinar. Thank you for always giving your love and support to us. We welcome you again to another episode on GPL Capital's webinar in association with the National Stock Exchange. Our today's episode is exploring new opportunities for retail investments in government securities. Our speakers for today is Mr. Pandurang Galande. Pleasure to have you. Mr. Galande is a senior manager at the National Stock Exchange. He has been associated with NSE for the past 4 years. Thank you for giving us your valuable time, sir. Our moderator for today, Mr. Deepak Panjwani, Head of Debt of GPL Capital, has over more than 15 years of experience in the field of Indian equities. Thank you for giving us your time, Deepak, sir. We will first start with the market outlook by Mr. Panjwani. As you all know, this is a live event on Facebook. Hope you all put up your best and like and share us on Facebook with your friends and family, and they can see us live there too. We are putting up a link of FB in the chat room here. Also, please put in your questions in the comments over here, and we will try our best to accommodate those. I now hand it over to Mr. Deepak Panjwani.
Thank you, Forum. Very good evening to all of you. We welcome you to the 15th of the webinar on emerging opportunities in the government securities. As you all know, the government securities and the interest rates right now in the very limelight of the market. Everyone is having a watch on the RBI and the government and what kind of movement they're going to expect it. I just have a fair book on that, what happened in the market in the last couple of months. Since this pandemic broke out, we have seen that the RBI and the government has get into the economy and tried to infuse the liquidity and tried to give a hard on the interest rate. RBI has taken a lot of major forms of reducing the interest rates, and the government has also taken the steps to stimulate the economy. They have announced certain of stimulus packages, which has supported the economy at the time when the entire global economy is in a dire state. What we have seen in the month of since March till May, RBI has reduced the repo rate by almost 115 basis points and almost 250 basis points from February 2019 to till date. 150 basis point of the repo rate RBI has reduced. Apart from reducing the rate, RBI has also infused the liquidity into the system, which is an ample of liquidity they have infused in the system through conventional and unconventional measures to the tune of around 9.57 lakh crore, which is a huge amount and which is almost about 4% GDP of the country. So the amount of liquidity infused by the liquidity has supported the economy, supported the market, and we have seen that the borrowing costs have came down. Simultaneously, we have seen the bond yields, government bond yields also falling down from 0.85 in the month of March to 5.72 in the month of July. Currently, we are at 6.19% as on today. So what we have seen, because when the liquidity was infused into the system, we have seen the borrowing costs for the corporates have came down, and the corporates have borrowed ample amount of money, around roughly around 2.1 lakh crore of the amount through private placement of the bonds in the market in the Q1 2020. And what kind of spread we have seen? The spread has shrunk drastically. The spread on the AAA corporate bond, which are similar to the AAA with the government security of the 3 years, the spread has shrunk from 276 basis point to 50 basis point in the month of July. So we have seen almost 225 basis point shrink in the AAA spread. And apart from that, what we have seen the negative rated bond, BBB minus bond, the spread has shrunk to 125 basis points. So what happening that a lot of demand been created in the market for the corporate bond, which are on the spread, on the government security, which are on the spread. We have seen a lot of spread has been shrink going forward. Currently, what happened that 10-year yield is at 6.19%. Why we have seen the shift from 5.72 to 6.19? There is a shift in the last couple of days from RBI policy on August 6th. RBI kept the rate unchanged, and they have also had some concern on the inflation numbers, which was slightly on the moving side. July inflation numbers, which was printed in the month of August, on August 12th, it was released. It came at 6.93%, which was on the higher level. The reason for the higher number of the inflation was the supply disruption we have seen in the economy because of the lockdown, pandemic situation was there. The supply got disrupted. And on the other hand, we have seen that government is also hiked the fuel prices, which has affected into the food and vegetable prices. Because of that, we have seen the food, vegetable prices have gone up drastically in the last 3 or 4 months because of the supply disruption, and most of the part of the country are into the flood also. So we have seen that supply got drastically affected and the retail inflation number has moved up. So that is the one reason why the RBI kept the rate unchanged, but they have kept the accommodative stance. Means they are open for further cutting on.
Deepak ji, you want to meet more?
Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what happened? The 10-year G-Sec was at 6.85 in the month of March, and it went down to 5.72 in the month of July. So from July till over here, we have seen a upside of around 40 to 50 basis points because of the unchange in the policy rate, because of the inflation numbers are moving up, because the RBI is slightly turning hawkish on the inflation number, they want to wait and watch. So we have seen all this kind of three things are coming up in favor of the retail investor, where they're looking for the higher yield to buy the bonds. So there's an opportunity for the retail investor to get into the government securities market because the yields are on the slightly on the higher side, and probably it may slightly move up from here also. So what will happen going forward? Now, it's an important thing to understand that what kind of growth projection RBI is having. RBI is having a very negative projection on the economy, like GDP numbers that they are projecting around around -4% for the full entire year, financial year. And as you see, the figures also projected a -4.5% of the GDP for the entire financial year. And the Q1 number likely to be released by this month and likely to be in the negative range of -13%. So we are seeing the growth is on the lower side, and RBI is also focusing on promoting the growth and supporting the growth of the country by keeping the interest rates lower. So definitely the interest rates are likely to remain lower for a substantial period of time, like say 1 year down the line or 1.5 years down the line, till the growth get momentum and picking up. And by the end of the financial year, we are expecting a growth of around -4.5%. So this it's the entire year the growth likely to remain in a negative zone. So probably it will the interest rates are not likely to move up from here. It will remain over here only. And post September, we will see the inflation numbers will be coming down. A reason for the inflation number to be coming down will be that now the economy is the unlock mode. We are seeing the economy is opening up. Things are getting changed. Supply chain is improving. We are seeing a lot of supply is coming to the market. Rainfall is very good. Probably the rainfall will play a major role going forward. We'll see the good crops are coming up, and we'll see the fall in the price of the all the cereals and all the things. So what will happen? The price will fall post September. We will see the inflation numbers will be coming down post September. And the third reason why the inflation will be on the lower side post September will be the base effect change. We will see the change in the base effect of the inflation, where the inflation likely to fall. And by December or around by January, we see the inflation to be around 5 to 5.5%. So probably the inflation trajectory will be around 5 to 5.5% by December or January. And for the entire year, we see the 10-year bond will be moving in the range of 5.5% to 6.42%. On the upper side, we have a 6.42%, and on the lower side, we expect yield to fall down to 5.5%. In December policy, we expect the RBI to cut down the rate by around 25 to 35 basis points. But in October policy, they will keep it again unchanged. But they will support the market through open market operation, as they have recently announced. Yesterday, they have announced 2 OMO purchase and sell. It's a special OMO where the RBI will be buying the longer end bond and selling the shorter end paper like Treasury bill. So one of the OMO is tomorrow. It plays at 10,000 crore. Other OMO is on 3rd of September. So post September, we see the series of OMO will be coming up, where the RBI will be supporting the market with the yield to cap on that. The government is borrowing a huge amount of money in this financial year at around 12 lakh crore. So that borrowing part to be supported by the Reserve Bank of India to some extent, and won't allow the yield to move higher from there. So the projection is very clear that yield should not move from higher from around 6.42 is the likely the gap, or 6.5% we can expect more than that. So it's a good time for the retail investor to look into it. With this, I'll hand over to Mr. Panduranga for taking up the product details, that what kind of emerging opportunities are for the retail investors into the government securities market. All over to you, Mr. Panduranga, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepakji. Such an good insight on not only on rates but also on the economy. So thank you for setting the tone right. Now, today's agenda, we are going to cover about the debt market and what opportunities are there for retail investors how they can enter into a debt market with a very small investment opportunities. Like with a very small amount, they can enter into the market, because what we've seen historically, whenever we see the debt market, whenever we hear about debt market, it is always like jargons to all of us, because there is yield, there is coupon, there are so many things which are so complicated, which feels investors like they are not involved in the debt market, or very less participation in the debt market. So there is a small presentation which I would want to share, and with this I think we will discuss the complete product. My screen is visible, Deepak ji?
Yeah, it's visible, sir.
Product which we are discussing is the non-competitive bidding. So basically what has happened, we'll just run through the agenda. So today we will be discussing 3 of the debt products, which is GSEC, treasury bills, and the state development loan. Then the investment, what benefit you get for investing in GSECs, and like who all are the participants in the debt market, basically in the bond market and in the state development loans. We'll see that as well. Then the actual comparison of what competitive and non-competitive bidding is all about. Then who are the eligible participants, whether a retail investor can participate, or which all type of participants can invest invest in GSEC and T-bill through through this platform. And the last one is we will see some screenshots like how one can actually invest. So moving on, as I was saying that it is always like retail is always been outside of the debt market, because there were so many special requirements by RBI for retail investors to enter in the market. So they had to have a current account with RBI, or there were SGL account requirements which were there if a retail investor actually wanted to come in this market. So very recently, maybe couple of years or half years, 2 years back, RBI and SEBI came together and they thought of why retail is not part of these instruments. So that is where they have thought of this product, which is non-competitive bidding. So exchanges like National Stock Exchanges is a aggregator in this case. What happens is, whatever auctions, as Deepak ji was saying, RBI conducts auction of these instruments weekly. They have a calendar. RBI, basically central government and state government issues these instruments through RBI. So that is how the Government of India securities and treasury bills are being issued by the center, and state development loan is issued by the state. So if we have to understand, it is a very simple way of understanding this particular product, is that we have to understand this as a government is taking loan from us, and they will give a fixed return, which is called coupon rate. Okay, so a rate is fixed, and on that rate, half yearly they will provide interest. So basically these loans are called the GSECs. Okay, so and state is issuing state development loan. As the name suggests, they are actually taking a loan from us and provide us a fixed return. Okay, so all these auctions are taken place at RBI platform. The name of the platform is eKuber. Through this platform, auction happens every week. So we'll get into these products. Okay, so what is happening is, like first of all, we'll discuss this T-bills. So T-bills are basically these zero coupon bonds. Okay, so what happens is, like generally the instrument face value is 100. All these instruments, whatever instruments we will discuss in this product, has a face value of 100 rupees. Okay, so T-bills are basically the discount or zero coupon bonds, which means it is issued at discount, and then at the maturity the full face value is being paid in terms of interest. So a hypothetical example uh, could be I'm investing in T-bills, which is issued at 97 rupees for 1 year for 364 days. It means I will just give 97 rupees or 93 rupees as an investment amount, and after maturity of 364 days, RBI will return me 100 rupees. So whatever interest I will be making, that is my, whatever difference I will be making, that is my income. Okay, interest income. So we have three varieties. RBI issues these T-bills in three varieties. One is 91-day T-bill, 182 days, and 364 days T-bill. Moving on to GSEC. GSEC is basically the longer dated bonds, which is issued by Government of India. So the, the the duration could be from 1 year to 40 years, and here it is a coupon rate has been decided at first, and after that every 6 monthly RBI gives the coupon, that is the interest to the investors. Okay. Same is the case with the state development loans. These are also in the range of 3 years to 35 years of maturity. And here also investor gets half yearly interest on these investments. Okay, so if we have to understand these instruments, basically coupon rate is the rate on which we will get, on face value we will get the interest, assuming 7% Government of India bond expiring on 2030. So 10-year paper I am talking here about, and which will give 7% as a coupon. So if I invest 100 rupees, okay, so I will be getting 3.5 rupees every 6 months, okay, till the maturity of the bond. Okay, so now depending on the demand and supply or the rate fluctuations, what Deepak ji has said in his opening remark, because of which there could be changes in the interest rate. So the 7% may not remain 7%, which is issued at the beginning of the like when RBI had issued the bond. That time it was 7%, but it will not remain 7% till the lifetime of its bond. So the rate could go above 7%. The rate may fall below 7%. So basis that the prices of the bond are being done. So okay. So if assuming there is reissuance of any of the security in GSEC or state development tool, there what happens, investor generally gets allotment. If it is at premium, then the allotment will be above 100 rupees. Okay, and the coupon rate, like the yield, will be automatically below 7%. And if it is rates are up more than 7%, then the security will be issued at discount, assuming 98 rupees. And on 98 rupees, if we calculate 7%, 3.5 rupees, 3.57 rupees, then the actual yield of the investor will be more than 7%. It could be 7.5, 7.25, 7.3% could be the yield. So that is what the basics about these instruments. This is what one should be very clear about these instruments. Then rest of the things are operational things. We'll just see what all things are there. Okay, so now we'll just see what are the benefits. So okay, first of all, one has to understand, all our investors has to understand is that this is the safest investment across all asset classes. Okay, because it has sovereign guarantee. It means whatever loan the government, central government or state government has taken, they will compulsorily will have to pay the interest. Okay, there is not even a single case wherein the state or the center has defaulted. It means till now there are no defaults. This makes the instrument safest across all asset classes. Okay, there is a small comparison which has been done on the right side of the table along with the FD rates. So there are pros and cons of both these instruments, but just to highlight the FD rates for longer duration, these are the current numbers which we have taken. FD rates have been taken from the internet, and the the state development loan rates are taken from yesterday's press release. So we can very clearly see that 5-year and a 10-year state development loan is yielding much more compared with your FD rate. There are other benefits as well if we had to compare with FD. FD, if you premature, then there is a penalty which is being charged. Okay. Here, if you sell your security in the secondary market, depending on the liquidity of the security, you will get the price. Okay. So there is not necessarily will be a penalty. Okay. There is no tax deducted at source, which is the case in the FDs, and capital appreciation has also been provided. Then there is a very big advantage which I would like to highlight over here for all our investors is that whatever securities you will buy through these non-competitive bidding, it will be in your DMAT, and you can actually give these securities as a collateral to participate in your capital market, derivatives market, or the currency market of the exchanges. So you can actually use this as a collaterals for taking the advantage in the other market. So you would get your interest along with that. You are using this money for investing in other instruments as well. So we have a special slide for that because this is a very important and one of the biggest advantages which I would like to highlight. All these G-Secs can be used as collaterals. Okay, so this is termed as cash equivalent or the liquid asset because the guarantee is from the central government. Okay, so basically NSE accepts the collaterals in both DMAT and SGL. So what happens? We will see that in a later slides as well. So basically, all the competitive bidding which has been done on the RBI e-Kubari platform are the basically insurance companies, banks, and the big institutions. This is called competitive bidding, and non-competitive is basically the exchanges is been provided with 5% and 10% of the total issue size as a reservation for retail, and if you have a security, whether it is in SGL or a DMAT form, all the type of securities can be used as collaterals. I am talking about these three securities. Okay, so there is a small haircut. Okay, so 2%, 5%, and 10% depending on the liquidity and the tenure of the asset. The haircut has been applied, a small haircut. If you see, if you compare this with the stock has a much higher haircut compared with these instruments. The only reason is the security part of it. Moving on, whenever we talk about any new instrument or a new asset class, all investors, if I am also investing, I should be worried about where I am investing, along with me, whom all are there in these instruments. So this particular slide and the next slide, which tells us about the ownership of these instruments. So government of say GOI bonds are basically the majority holding in all these three instruments are by commercial banks and the insurance companies and mutual funds, and few of the cases it is RBI and the state governments as well. And the outstanding amount, one could see it is 60 trillion in the case of GSEC, and T-bills it is 4.7 CR. And in case of state development loan, it is 30 trillion. And here it is a tough competition between insurance companies and commercial banks. We'll discuss the state development loan in much detail in coming slides, because that is one of the key product one could get attraction automatically with the kind of yields which has been offered in the state development loans. So this is what I was talking 2-3 minutes back, the competitive bidding and the non-competitive bidding. So you all would be aware about the primary market, the IPO market. So likewise, RBI has its calendar, which is this competitive bidding and non-competitive bidding, wherein RBI conducts auction in the primary market, and the securities are being offered. So the platform name is e-Kuber, wherein the RBI is basically conducting these auctions. And if we see the competitive bidding is basically for the bigger institutions, primary dealers, banks and insurance companies, whereas non-competitive bidding is for retail, because retail was never a part of these primary market auctions. Now, these institutions directly put their bid on eKuber, whereas in non-competitive bidding, all the clients will have to give the bid to GEPL, and GEPL in turn collect all the bids and will give it to NSE. What NSE does, NSE accumulates all the bids from all the members, all the clients, and in turn a single bid has been bidded on the eKuber platform in the non-competitive category. Okay, so this is how the functionality happens. Auction price, basically the competitive bidding, the banks and the primary dealers, what they do is they bid on their prices, they bid on their yields, what the yields they are expecting from that particular auction, that particular instrument, basis on the coupon, basis on the maturity, and there are so many different factors. But here, for non-competitive biddings, whatever cutoff yields will be coming in the competitive bidding, the same rates will be allotted to all the investors. Okay, so whether an investor is investing through ABC Limited or GEPL or any other broker, everyone will get the security at the same price in non-competitive bidding, which is the competitive bidding cutoff yields. Okay. Now moving on, as I was saying that generally the estate development loans and the GSECs are not issued, the fresh securities are not issued regularly. So if a government had issued us a 30-year or 40-year bond, so that particular bond they reissue. So the ISIN remains same, and the calculation for accrue for arriving to a bond price has been, you can simply calculate it in Excel. I don't want you all to get confused in the calculations, because that then this will automatically kill, like this may create confusions in your mind. But there's a simple formula in Excel, you can put it and you can calculate the price calculation for the bonds which are reissued. Moving on to the non-competitive bidding at exchange, NSE is an aggregator for all these instruments. Okay, so investors will have to put, like all your investors have to give your bids to GEPL. GEPL in turn will provide those bids to exchange. This is how the processing will be done. So there is a platform in the IPO platform only. We have given these GSEC. GSEC, like GEPL can actually go to this platform and put all your clients bid in the same platform. The clearing will happen through NCL, which is our clearing house, 100% subsidiary of NSE. And once as an investor you apply and you get the security automatically will be transferred to the DMAT. So here the DMAT account is mandatory for an investor to invest in these instruments. Now we'll move to the eligibility criteria. Okay, so who all are eligible? So all individuals, firms, companies, corporate bodies, institutions, provident funds, trusts, all these type of participants can participate in the non-competitive bidding. Any other entity which is been prescribed by RBI from time to time can actually are actually eligible. But those who are holding current account with RBI, or those who have subsidiary general account with RBI, these people are not allowed to participate in non-competitive bidding because they have direct access to the competitive bidding. Now moving to the limits, the minimum bid one client can put is 10,000 and multiples of 10,000. So the smallest investment is 10,000. So your clients will not have any difficulties in terms of lot size. It is 10,000 only. The limits in Government of India securities, maximum bid could be 2 crore per security. So in an auction, there are different securities with different maturities with different yields have been auctioned on a single day. So per security, 2 crores is the maximum bid size, which is quite huge. And exchange gets 5% of the total size. So assuming 10,000 crores is the issue size in particular bond. So out of that, 5% is being allocated for non-competitive bidding. So the sizes in non-competitive bidding is also very huge. If your big clients or big institutions also wanted to participate, they also can come and subscribe in this particular in these instruments. Same is the case with SDL, but a small difference. It is 1% of the notified amount. So whatever RBI gives as a auction amount. So out of that 1% is the maximum amount one can bid. One client can bid with a single order, and 10% of the notified amount is kept as reservations for exchanges in the non-competitive bidding. So criteria is the clients will have to put the bid through member of exchange. Okay, clients must have DP account with the depository. KYC needs to be completed. I believe all the GPL clients will have their KYCs completed, and all the clients will have to provide one single bid undertaking that they will not put more than one bid in any of the auctions. So that is about the criteria. Now this is how the screen look like. I think it will not be very interesting. This is just for the information. The screen looks like this for GPL to put their orders to exchange. So they have to bid the client details and DP numbers and all related informations they have to prepare and give. Now this is how the processing will happen. Investors will come to trading member, which is GPL in this case. They will submit their bid to participant, which is GPL, and GPL in turn give the bid to NSE through GSEC platform. Then the settlement actually happens. The order is being given to NCL and the settlement happens. Then after that, whatever is the amount which the member is bidding, the clients have to the members have to keep that amount in the cash settlement account. NCL pulls that amount and puts the bid on the eKuber platform on the next day. So this is how actual flow of the product looks like, and this is for all the instruments which we are discussing today. Now, mode of investment under NCB products we've already discussed: GSEC, T-bill, state development loans. All eligible investors who are prescribed by RBI can participate. KYC is mandatory. DMAT is mandatory. Investors have to give no registration is required. Investors just have to give the notification once. Then these are the basic details of investors, these are the basic parameters which members have to consider while putting the bids, because they have to consider that the investment must be coming through clients, and there is only one investment must be coming. All the cash collection and everything happens from the member end. So will be NCL will be collecting the money from the member. So member has to see that they are collecting same from the client. Okay. Now this looks like a bit complicated, but it is not. I will simplify for all of you. Okay. So what happens is basically whenever is the auction day is there on the RBI, when NSE goes with all the bids and puts it to the RBI. So before that day, there is the clients can give their bids in these instruments. So we'll start with the state development loan. Okay, we'll start reverse. Okay, from right to left. So what happens? State development loan auction generally is been kept on Tuesday. Okay, so clients can give their bids on Monday to the broker. Okay, so Monday is the only day when clients have to give their orders for state development loan. Tuesday, an exchange goes and puts the bids on RBI eKuber platform. Okay. Now we'll talk about GSEC. Okay. Before GSEC, I would want to discuss about T-bill. So we'll finish the week. Okay. Then it is very easy to understand. So Monday only, state development loan, T-bill RBI auction happens on Wednesday. Okay. So clients have to come to broker and give their bid on Monday and Tuesday. So there are 2 days for T-bills. Client can give their bids, and member will collect both the bids and will submit to exchange. Okay. And on Wednesday, exchange goes to the RBI and puts the bid for T-bill. Now we'll move to the Government of India securities. So GSEC auction, RBI auction is on Friday, generally on every Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, these are the 3 days member can collect orders from their clients. And on these 3 days, member will have to collect the orders and will have to submit to the exchange. And exchange on Friday goes to eCubir platform and gives a single bid to RBI for these Government of India securities. So the notification is been given 1 day prior to the bidding, and the bidding period is also been mentioned here. So need not be confusing. You all know, don't get confused. It is very simple. As a client, मैं कब order दे सकता हूँ? You have to understand that. Okay. So state development loan Monday को देना है, T-bills Monday, Tuesday दे सकते हैं, और GSEC का Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, ये 3 दिन हम दे सकते हैं. It is as simple as that. Now these are some of the recent cutoffs which has come in the RBI. Okay. RBI has come up like whatever auctions have happened recently. These are the basically the cutoffs which have come. So the latest, if you see for T-bills, was 19th August. As Deepak ji was saying that the yields have fallen from February of this year. So from there, the rates are following continuously, which has been the result of the lowest rate in the T-bills as well. But if you see last week, there has been increase in, because one have to understand this. Previously it was 3.25, 3.27, and last week it was 3.54. So almost 25 basis point rates have gone up for T-bills. It is the same security because the maturity, it is the different security, but the maturity period is the same. So we can compare these rates. Now moving on to the GSEC. GSEC also, we've seen earlier it was 7, in the February and March, it was 7.5% yield was coming. But recently, these last 4-5 months, the rates have fallen, which has resulted in the lower interest rates. So if we see the 10-year GSEC, on 14th August, it was yielding approximately 6%. Whereas if we see this month, the last week's cutoffs, the rates have actually gone up from 6% to 6.25 or 6.4 approximately. And then this was the thing which I was saying that I wanted to focus more on the state development loans. State development loans are basically issued by that particular state. It has a sovereign guarantee as well, because none of the state has defaulted till date. So one can understand it is as safe as your GSECs. And the rates, if we actually compare with the FD or a GSEC bond, it would be 25 to 45 basis higher. Very clearly one can see here. So last week, forget about last week, yesterday's cutoff for Rajasthan 2030. I'm not promoting any of the states. I'm just giving the facts, fact numbers. So Rajasthan state, if you see, 6.64 was the cutoff yesterday, whereas Gujarat is also on the similar lines. If we see, the duration is more, the rates are more. So one will get more interest compared with the shorter durations. So shorter durations absolutely are providing less interest rates, whereas the state developments are providing higher compared with the GSEC. So I think this is it from my side. This is what the difference was 76 basis points in the state development loan and G6 from January. So the basic difference is because the state is offering, and because of which the yields are a bit higher. So I think that's it from my side. I've tried to kept to myself as short as possible. I think over to you, Deepak ji. If any questions or anything, we can start taking.
Thank you very much for giving a beautiful insight on that, how the retail participation can be done in the government securities, state loan, and the treasury bill. Sir, I just have one query on that. We have seen that a lot of bond market has been developed a lot in global countries like US and other parts. There's a lot of development in the bond market. But in India, we have seen a very low presence of the retail participation in the bond as well as in the government securities or treasury bills or state loan. So since you are at the exchange level, so what kind of things the government is doing to develop the bond market in India? Is this the one of the steps where
Absolutely.
the exchange is allowed to participate and the retail can do it some of the things?
Absolutely. I would completely agree with the first part of what you were asking. That if you generally see the developed countries, there the equity market and the debt market is as vibrant as any other asset class. So there is not much of a difference in the debt market vibration and equity. Whereas India, if you see India, equity is quite mature. Hell lot of retail participation, or the penetration is very huge. Whereas debt is a product wherein there are two reasons. One, I personally feel why this is not that developed. First is the eligibility and RBI's this thing, because of which the retails were not allowed to participate. They had to open some different accounts. And the second reason is the awareness. But with these initiatives like non-competitive bidding, which has been done by RBI and SEBI together, I think this is the best platform one could have to promote the debt products, and particularly the safest products, which are these three products which we discussed. So I think this is a first step, I think, towards the retail development of debt in India. And I think with such seminars and such awareness sessions, I think if it reaches to all the participants, more and more awareness can be created, and every investor can take benefit out of such products.
Okay. Yeah, very truly. Sir, apart from that, suppose my investor invests in the treasury bill. I understand that that's a shorter duration instrument. Will get mature within a maximum period of 1 year, because we have got three instruments: 91 day, 182, and 364 day bill. So there is no point
Correct.
of getting the exit route, like the client won't be in the haste to exit it. But apart from, if he invests in the say 3-year state loan, or 5-year state loan, or 5-year government bond, or for 10-year government bond, is there any exit route on the exchange platform where he can sell the securities and get the exit out of it?
Absolutely. In fact, I forgot to mention that in my presentation as well. So very recently, like previously, there were the G-Secs which were allowed in the cash market of NSE. So all these securities are available in the secondary market of NSE, wherein one can get exit out of it. And a very recent addition, which I would like to mention here, is the T-bills and the state development loans are also available for trading in the secondary market. One has to see the liquidity in these products, and accordingly they have to invest. There is absolutely a platform which is provided for exit route, to answer your question.
Okay. So the secondary market has already been in the place where the investor can either buy or sell the securities listed over there. So what kind of volumes are happening over there? Any rough idea you can just give it to my investors?
So there is not much of volume currently which has been happening in the secondary market of these instruments. We are in the stage of we are in the discussion for making like appointing market makers for these instruments, because we have to understand that these instruments are being like the holding nature is very skewed. So limited part of participants only having these securities. So obviously the liquidity is a concern at this moment of time. Not much of volumes are happening, but we are in talks. We are trying to get market makers. After that, this problem may get sorted.
And I think because of the awareness, what we are doing it right now, probably this will help in getting the liquidity more importantly, where the participation will be more higher. You see, the liquidity will be coming to the particular segment of the securities like state loan, GSEC, or treasury bills. So that is the one thing which is very good for the investors, that they have the exit route on the exchange where they can put their orders and the order get executed. And sir, related to the same thing only, like secondary market. On secondary market, the GSEC is, as in our wholesale debt market, we are seeing that the GSEC is trading on a clean price. Is it traded on the clean price, the dirty price on exchange?
So it is traded on the dirty price. Okay, it is not
Okay.
on the clean price. So accrued interest, one has to consider that while pricing the bond.
Okay. So it's including the accrued interest from the last IP date to the settlement date of the T+2. If I'm putting the order today,
Correct.
it will take the settlement date T+2, like Friday. Till Friday, it will take the settlement date.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so one more thing which you mentioned about the auction calendar, which you said that RBI is coming out with the auctions like for treasury bills on Wednesday, state loan on Tuesday and Friday for government bond. And the retail investors, if they're willing to participate in the auction, for state loan, they have to give the bid only. Eligible is the Monday is the date for them.
Correct.
Suppose on Monday, if there is a public holiday, then what?
So what happens is basically if there are holidays on the auction date, then I think RBI does not carry out the auction. So likewise, exchange cancels the exchange does not keep the NCB for that those particular instruments. So it is purely dependent on the RBI's calendar. So basically, if there is a calendar, then there will be days for applying in the NCBs.
Okay. So for state loan, as you said, the Tuesday is the auction date. Suppose Tuesday is the working day, okay, and Monday is the holiday. How the investor will apply on Monday? Because Monday is the holiday, he cannot apply.
Right.
So he can apply on Tuesday morning.
No. It is not on the auction day. Absolutely
Okay.
not. I will just check on this particular point whether it is on Friday, but it is not definitely not on the Tuesday. It could be on the Fridays.
Friday, I think, but after market time, they used to announce the auctions. It will be quite later.
Correct.
Probably
So
on Saturday.
no.
That
Saturday is also not there. So I'll just check this particular point and come back to you.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much. So one more thing, we have got different, we have got two segments in the depository. One is the NSDL, other the CDSL. So what we have seen that most of the issues are coming from transferring from NSDL to CDSL and vice versa. Is that still there is a problem there? The government security or state loan or treasury bill getting difficult in transferring from NSDL to CDSL?
So transfer, I'm not sure about the transfer, but one thing I'm very much sure about that whatever DP number you put, whether it is a NSDL or CDSL, the allotment will happen on that particular DP.
Okay, fine. That's right. So I think there should not be a problem between the transfer from NSDL to CDSL. If I am having since GFL Capital having a CDSL account, and most of my investors have a DP with the CDSL. So if they're transiting on the exchange and if some NSDL stock is there, will it get transferred or not? So that thing needs to be clear on that. Or it won't be an issue over there.
So these auctions basically the security has been directly given to the client's DP account. Okay. So
I'm talking about secondary market.
Sorry?
Secondary market. I'm talking about secondary market.
So DP transfer, I think we'll have to check with the depositories. I'm not too sure on this particular operational part of it.
Okay, fine. No problem. And apart from that, what we have seen that cutoff is coming, we have got competitive cutoff and non-competitive bidding is there. The retail investor who's participating in the state loan, say suppose one of my investor goes for 3-year state loan, and what kind of money he has to give the member? Suppose he want to participate, say for 1 lakh rupees, okay? 1 lakh rupees of face value of the amount. So he has to give the complete 1 lakh rupee or more than that or less than that.
Yeah. So basically what happens, the notification, through notification, we get to know the approximate cutoff, and apart from that cutoff, like we take 5% additional from the broker. Like you will have to collect 5% additional from the client. Okay. So basically what happens, assuming it is issued at par and 100 rupees is the face value, you'll have to collect 105 rupees on the bidding day. Let's say you're talking about state development loan. So Monday you'll have to collect 105 rupees. Your exchange on Tuesday morning will collect 105 rupees from GEPL. Exchange will apply to RBI on eKuber. As soon as the cutoff comes on the same day, on the Tuesday itself, by end of the day, whatever refund is there, refund is being given to the GEPL securities. So accordingly, GEPL has to give the refund to the clients based on whatever cutoff or whatever prices the security has been allotted.
So what kind of retail participation you have seen in the last 1 year? This has been allowed in the December 2019 by SEBI and the Reserve Bank of India to participation of the retail in the non-competitive bidding. So what kind of figures, if you can share with us, that what kind of retail participation you have till now, so that it will help our investor to participate and get some sense of figures over there.
So there is a quite a good attraction. So whichever member is providing these products, I think they have been quite successful. And we are seeing a very good participation. I would not be able to share the numbers, but I can tell you that the big retail members, they are doing fabulously well with number of clients and with the amount as well. So there is a attraction, and investors are coming to this particular product.
So with that, I would like to thank you very much for giving a beautiful insight on the retail participation in the government bond market, which is a very unique market and it's been well known among the institutional players. So probably this will help my retail investor to understanding the market and getting more participation over there and trying to see that what kind of instrument, which are the safest mode of instrument right now, is the government security and the state loan and interest bills. Because we have not seen any default in the last 50 years and above, none of the default we have seen so far. So all these are the sovereign guaranteed papers. So probably it will help our investors in doing that. We'd like to thank you with all these things and like to hand over to Forum for the further proceeding. All over to you, Forum. Forum, over to you.
Thank you for this fruitful discussion, Deepak sir and Galande sir. We now move forward to our questions from the guests. The first question coming in is, major issues faced is lack of awareness, high margin and lack of volume. What are the various initiatives taken up by NSE to address these issues from the higher retail participation?
We are conducting many more awareness programs with our channel partners, with our educational partners, with our trading members. So the awareness front, we are conducting so many awareness sessions. We have created a Android and an Apple app as well, through which the awareness is being provided. Then I think such more sessions from trading members will definitely increase the activity in creating like more awareness for these products.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is, what is the difference between GSEC and bank bond? So you'll have to unmute yourself.
So bank bonds, I'm not too sure about the bank bonds, whether bank is issuing their own bonds, but the GSECs are basically the central government issuing the central government raising their funds through RBI is the GSEC, and maybe banks who would be creating the debt paper and issuing the bonds could be called bank bonds.
Thank you so much.
I'll add to this question that bank bonds basically are the corporate bonds. This comes under the default. The banks who are eligible for raising the capital, they can issue the bonds into the primary market, and those bonds are tradable in the secondary market. So if you compare the bank bond with the government security, both are on the different platform. Both have a different features. If you talk about government bond have a fixed like they are paying coupon on semi-annual basis. Even bank bond can also pay you semi-annual coupon. They can pay you even monthly also. They can pay you quarterly also. They can pay you annually also. But there are certain bonds which are like deep discount bonds. So the features different and all the your ownership also depending. Ownership is the difference over the main over there. One is the bank bond, other is the central government security. The issuer is the different. It's been issued by the central government, and the bank bonds are issued by the particular bank like Central Bank of India, like Bank of Baroda, or State Bank of India. So these are the bank bonds basically.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is, what is the advantage for direct investment than through a mutual fund?
The mutual fund, if you're investing into the debt fund, that is a something different thing. Here you're getting the direct access to the particular government bond. When you talk about the mutual fund, debt fund, that means they are investing in a particular segment. Like if you're investing in the gilt fund, or if you're investing in a short-term duration fund, or like if you're investing in the short-term debt fund, or like a liquid fund, or like or ultra-short bond. So these are the different categories of the mutual fund where you invest. But that is not that has been access to the different kind of securities for that particular mutual fund. When you invest in the government security, it means you are investing in the particular government bond like 10-year paper, 5-year paper, or 3-year paper, or even 40-year bond also, or even 1-year bond also. So that is a direct investment into the government securities, like direct investment in the state loan security. Similarly, you have like in equity also. Equity, you buy a certain particular company's share, like Reliance is there, L&T is there. So these are the particular shares you're buying it. But when you invest in the mutual fund, equity mutual fund, so you are investing in the basket of the equities which is being held by that particular mutual fund. So this is the difference over there.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is, the difference between RBI bond versus GSEC, where RBI rate are high yield and same backed by GOI. So what do you suggest?
The RBI bonds are basically currently giving you a rate. It has been linked to the floating rate bond. Currently, if you see, it's not a fixed rate of return. It is a floater. Floater means the rate keep on changing as per the interest rate changing in the economy. Currently, they have benchmarked the rate of the floating rate bond with the NSE, it's the National Savings Certificate, plus 35 basis point over and above to that. Currently, it's giving a rate of return of 7.15. So it has been paid on every January and every July. It's been paid semi-annually. And second part, which is important, is that RBI floating bonds are fixed, like they are locked for 7 years. You cannot trade on those bonds. You cannot buy or sell the bonds. You cannot transfer it. If you talk about the government security is open for trading. You buy today, you can even sell it tomorrow on the exchange. There is no there is not you have a fixed tenure for that. It's been kept. It will lock for a certain period of time. You have a chance to get out of it once the market moves up. Interest rates are coming down, and you have a good capital gain appreciation on those bonds. You can also sell in the market. So that is the biggest advantage you have with the government securities.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is, 5% commission will be paid by whom at the time of investment?
5% commission on what? The question can be cleared for that.
We'll have to ask the question to our guest to retype it. So then we'll go on to the next question. MF have indexation benefits, GSEC MF. Will GSEC bonds also have it?
Yes, they have the same kind of indexation benefit. If you are holding the bond for 3 years and above, you will get the indexation benefit like capital gain indexation benefit of 20% on that. And if you are selling it before 3 years, it has been taxed as per your tax slab.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is, can debt products be packaged in a retail-friendly manner like MFs, which is currently the major difference?
If you can come up with the questions again, please.
Can debt products be packaged in a retail-friendly manner like MFs, which is currently the major difference?
See, when you talk about, again, you're talking about the mutual fund. Again, I said to you earlier also that mutual fund, when you talk about it, investing in the certain basket of the security, they have certain if you're investing in the short-term bond funds, so they have a maturity of say like 6 months duration or up to 1 year. So they are selecting the papers which are maturing between 6 months to 1 year. So probably they have the investment horizon, and you are investing on all those papers. Again, when you want to invest in the government securities, like if you have a view of say like 1 year down the line or 2 year down the line you want to invest, then you can pick up the papers which are maturing in 2021, 2022 or 23 as per the risk appetite you have or as per the investment horizon you have or what kind of return you are looking. Suppose you want to invest in a 1 year, you don't want to invest anything like risky asset like equity or any currency or anything else. You want the money to be safe for a period of say like 6 months or 1 year down the line. Then you can even go for the treasury bills, which are the most safest, where you can invest the money for 91 days, you can invest the 182 days and 364 days. Like this, you can build up the portfolio in the GSEC and like government security also. You can have space for some certain portion of the money you can place into the treasury bill. You can put certain amount of the money into the state loan. You can put certain amount of money into the GSEC also. And all these are tradable on the exchange. So whenever you want to get exit, you can always get out of it.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is for Pandurang, sir. Government charge commissions at all the time to issue the government security. Who will bear this in case of a small investor?
So government never charges any commission. Okay, so what we spoke in the presentation is basically, or maybe the question which Deepak ji has asked is like what amount investors have to pay while putting their bids. Okay, so that is where I said 5%. So it is not a commission. What happens basically, the indicative prices are with NSE. So we add some basis or some more amount to that indicative amount, and which is being collected from the clients, end clients. Okay, so with that amount, the next day when RBI weighted average yields are been out, the prices are disclosed. From the amount collected and the actual issue price, we deduct that amount and we give the refund on the same day to the broker, and broker in turn have to give that additional collected amount to the investors. Okay, so 5% is not a commission. If there is 5% commission, no one will come in the come and invest in such products. So there is no commission. It is the commission part. If I have to speak, it is 0.06% maximum a broker can charge, that is specified by the RBI. Okay, so broker cannot take more than that. There is no 5% commission from government, or either from NSE or neither from the broker.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is, can we do off-market transactions between two clients? Pandurang, sir?
I think Deepak ji can answer for
off-market transaction you can do. It's not an issue over there. What we have to do, suppose you have a security in the demat account and you want to sell to somebody else in the demat account only. You can always do the off-market transaction, but still like on government security, there are no stamp duty. So that you can do as normal as you do with other products. You can do that.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question coming in is for Pandurang, sir. GSEC have highest volatility in debt segment. How can investor reduce or hedge it?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
If you are holding such instruments and you actually wanted to hedge yourself, then there is futures and options. Both markets are available. So interest rate futures, interest rate options, these instruments are available in the currency derivative segments. These products are available. So basically, if you're holding the same maturity bond or a different bond with the same maturity, you can actually come and do this on the interest rate platform of NSE. So one can actually hedge through derivatives.
I would like to add to what Mr. Panduranga sir has said, that he's talking about the interest rate future segment, which is on the government security. So the 10-year benchmark, there is a basket for the IRF. There is from like 9 year to 12 year of the securities are taken into consideration. And most of the volumes are happening in the future market, not in the options market right now. Option is started by the exchange, but the volume is getting up. In future is good over there. and it's called the interest rate derivative market, which is a very active market and it's been trading on the 10-year government bond, which is the live benchmark paper in the wholesale debt market. So currently the benchmark paper is 5.77 GOI 2030. So this paper, same paper is being traded on the exchange under the IRF segment. And the contract had expiry, or every month the contract get expired on the last Thursday of the month. And the lot size of the contract is 2 lakh rupees. And the margin you have to pay in the range of around 3 to 4.5%. Am I right, sir? Am I right on the margin part, 3 to 4.5%?
Yes.
On
Yes.
the contract side? Yeah. If you can just add to that something on IRF, because some question has been asked on the IRF also, if you can add to
So we've seen this. We've launched interest rate futures segment initially, wherein only 10-year benchmark 10-year benchmark bonds were allowed. Recently, we've added the basket for longer tenure as well as shorter tenures as well. We had a very good volumes initially when we had launched, but uh, uh, these last 3-4 months the volume has gone a bit down, but still one can see 1,000-1,500 crores of volume on a daily basis in interest rate futures. Interest rate options, we had started that in November 2019, and I think initially people were very excited, and there were a huge volume was there in interest rate options as well, but recently we've seen the volumes drying up there as well. But futures, one can say that it is a very liquid market, and one can actually come and hedge their securities.
Thank you so much, sir. Coming up with the last question for Pandurang, sir. Can you throw some light on IRF?
I think Deepak ji had asked the same question, so that is what I had said. I would like to reiterate once again, one more time, is that the benchmark 10-year benchmark was the only basket when we had launched interest rate futures. Slowly, steadily, we had added the other baskets as well, the higher tenure and the lower tenures. So there are different securities which are available in the IRF segment. If any investors wanted to see the volumes and the liquidity, they can actually go to NSEindia.com. Under the market data, they can go to the derivative segment, and under derivatives there is interest rate derivatives. So there one will be able to see which all securities are available for trading, what are the volumes, what are the open interests which are there in the segment. So all the information can be ascertained, can be collected from the website.
And one more thing I'd like to add, that IRF is a cash settlement product. It's not a delivery-based product. So one of the best thing for the investor is that if they don't want to take any delivery in the government security, if they want to play with the interest rate movements happening in the economy or in the country, what we have right now, that interest rates have stable right now, but the bond yields are slightly moved up because of the inflation. If somebody had a good reading about the interest rate, that how the interest rate going to behave 3 months down the line or 6 months down the line, then he can play in the IRF market very smartly, because it's not a cash settlement totally. There is no delivery-based contract. Contract size is 2 lakh rupees, as I told you earlier, and the margin is very low. It's around 3 to 4% of the margin you have to pay, and it's been done on a daily basis. Mark to mark is there. So whatever is the movement on a daily basis, suppose you bought today contract of 10-year bond at a yield of 6.19, and by the end of the day it has become 6.17. So there is a movement of 2 basis points. So there is a gain of around 14 to 15 paisa on 100 rupees. So you are getting 14 paisa benefit of that. So that mark to mark benefit will be credited to your account. Similarly, if it is on the reverse side, if it is you bought at 619, if it has become 6.21, so you are losing 2 basis point on the yield, like the money has fallen down, because there is an inverse relationship between the yield and the bond price. When the yield goes up, the bond price falls down. When the yield falls, the bond price moves up. So similarly, when you bought at 619 and the yield has become 6.21, it means you have lost 14 paisa on 100 rupees you invested on the bond. So you have to pay extra mark to mark to your trading members for that contract. And the contract get expire on last Thursday of every month, as we told you. There's been a monthly frequency contract, and on a continuously 3-month contract is being run on the exchange for the interest rate futures market.
Thank you so much, Deepak, sir. We've received an overwhelming response, and we've tried as much as possible to cater to your questions. If you all have any further questions, request you to kindly send us an email at support@gplcapital.com, and we'll certainly get back to you. I now hand it over to Sharmila.
We thank our speakers and moderators for joining us today. A big thank you to Mr. Arpit Srivastava, Business Development Manager at NSE, for organizing this webinar today. May we have you say something, sir? Forum, can you just unmute Arpit Srivastava?
Yes, certainly. Just give me a minute.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I'll be.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deepak ji, for this event. We were actually planning for this event for quite some time. It was long due that a session was to be conducted with GPL on the G6 and the treasury bills. We've been in, Deepak ji specifically has been very keen in promoting this product from GPL, and we have seen there has been participation from GPL Capital. Lately, with the volatility in the market, government securities and state development loans have been catering a lot of interest of the investors. Thank you again for GPL Capital for conducting this event, and we'll keep on conducting events like this in future.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. For all the audience who have joined us, thank you so much. We really do hope that we have clarified your doubts. Hope you enjoyed the session. If you like our episodes, please put on your cameras and have a thumbs up so that we can capture you. Like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated with our next event. Our next webinar series is on global investments in association with Motilal Oswal, AMC. We at GPL will come up with more sessions related to different subjects. Our next webinar is on 3rd September 2020. Have a good day. Stay safe. Thank you.